Um, I am not sure. The last time this happened, Courtney did something, and I don't know what she did. And I don't know if this is actually being recorded. And I am wondering.
It says it's waiting. So
Yeah, it says it's waiting. And there was a Zoom thing, but
I just got a notification saying watch live now.
There was a oh, okay. All
So
right.
I'm a subscriber, and
We are live, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had a little tech issue there, and all right, good. So perfect. Well, I was just a little worried there. We had a delay, so we are live. We have been live. Everyone's seeing it. Okay, never mind.
Yes, there was a little bit of a delay there.
Yeah, this is humanity in crisis with the tech. But yes, we're so happy to have everybody here, including Karen, including Connie. And Karen, I'll just let you continue.
Great. So next, I would just like to introduce you, Marguerite, introduce Marguerite to all of you who are viewing. Marguerite is the founding director of the Seven Sisters Mystery School and our co-oracle for today. Would you like to say hello, Marguerite?
Hello. And we'd also like to introduce Gloria and Sylvia. We notice how Marguerite forgets to put that in the list sometimes. We are Hakamadi beings from Long Island in the fifth dimension. And sometimes we come in to lighten it up periodically at critical moments.
And thank goodness for you, Gloria and Sylvia. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Marguerite. And I'd like now to introduce Dawn DelVecchio. Oh, actually, Marguerite, you're going to be introducing Dawn.
All righty. Well, Dawn DelVecchio is my sister, priestess, friend, colleague. She is a wonderful, sacred woman who is the creator of the Priestess Rising, Return of the Priestess summits, as well as Mother Spirit Rising. She and I are co-teaching the Soul Relief and Renewal Weekend that's running November 3rd through 5th, 2023, and in replay. And so welcome, Dawn.
Thank you, Marguerite. It's an honor to be here and a delight to be back here with you again.
Yeah, blessed be. And we are going to be working, we are in Mama Cacao ceremony now. So we've been preparing ceremonially. We've been preparing with some of our own questions, but we invite your questions relative to the topic, answers to humanity in crisis. We will be running at least 60 minutes, possibly 90, if we're going strong. And so Dawn and I are just going to touch in and invite Karen back to start us off with our first question.
Are you hearing me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. That didn't quite work when I was off screen, so pardon me. This is my first time here doing this. So the first question is Earth and humanity, in fact, in a crisis? And if so, what is the underlying nature of this crisis and its causes? And if not, why does it feel like we're in crisis?
All righty. So I'll just invite you to stay with us, Karen, so that I can go in deeply now and not have to deal with the on, off, in, out tech.
Yeah.
But I would like to turn this first over to Dawn and see what you're receiving about this.
Okay. So I'm calling in my guides right now to speak through me like a microphone, like I'm a microphone, and let's feel what wants to come through. Humanity and planet Earth are and are not in a crisis, depending on the lens through which you look. In the sense that there is a great transformation underway on your planet, and therefore great tumultuous change is necessary due to the rigid systems and the way they have been locked into place for a long time. Yes, there is in that way a crisis. The crises, which are actually multiple, are efforts to maintain control by those who have benefited from the constructs under which you have lived, constructs in the consciousness, constructs within the outer world at large, big systems, as it were. However, this transformation is heralded for millennia. This is the opportunity for a great shift in consciousness, the great awakening, the great blessing for humanity's future in that way, a future of lived experience in a physical form. Gaia is ascending. Your planetary system, your solar system, is moving through an area of the photon belt and an area of the galaxy, which is allowing more photonic light to come onto the planet in order to awaken, to stir awake the remembrance, the consciousness within humans that you are divine creator beings. And in that awakening, it is not possible to maintain the systems of old, for the systems of old relied upon humans' consciousness of, we could say, in a sense, enslavement, smallness, small boxes and limitations of what you believe you are. And so much the way a butterfly would have to break out of its cocoon in order to fly, there seems to be a breaking of old structures, again, within the consciousness itself, collectively and individually, as well as within the outer manifestations. And so what you will see in the years to come are greater and greater levels of transformation, and we could say deconstruction of old systems which are unloving at their very core. They are limiting at their core. Now, with regard to that, there is a concerted effort, again, by the very few who have benefited from humanity's sleep state, we could say, who will continue to throw monkey wrenches into the system in order to maintain a level of low frequency of consciousness of the collective through the efforts of fear, through the systems that create fear within humans. And that, in a sense, is the actual crisis. Now, as you move forward, you will find that you are each engaged in both personal and collective challenges and choices to where you wish to place your energies, your awareness, your consciousness. We would advise and recommend and encourage and call you forward into the light of love, into the light of trust in a higher order, into the visioning of what is possible rather than a gazing upon the unraveling, the deconstructing of systems that will not serve and do not serve humans, living creatures, and Earth Gaia herself. So is there a crisis? From one lens, indeed there is, for it is a deep and profound transformation of your planetary system and your consciousness. And on the other hand, the crisis is the proceeding of the great opening of light for which you all came to facilitate, or as this conduit says, to midwife into being.
Dawn, that was a beautiful transcript that anybody could download now. That was perfect. Absolutely, totally perfect. We can all leave now. That's basically it. That's it in the nutshell for anybody who came on. All right. So for my end, yes, it was like the same thing pretty much. There's always a crisis. and there's never a crisis. And that goes for our own personal lives as well as the collective. I think we've all felt that. And what we realize is that there's a habit that we all have through the pains that we've gone through in this lifetime and others of looking for the dangers. Okay, because I think the Chinese character crisis is danger plus opportunity. That's what it means. So we're usually looking at the dangers, not so much at the opportunities. And we need to shift our attention and our emphasis to the opportunity instead of the danger part of it. Okay, this is part of the initiation. This is part of the ascension or inscension, is literally the shifting of habits. And what I've received before, and it's being echoed now, is that Eden could be now. You know, we want another bumper sticker, Karen. We're having you write these down. Eden now. Because, you know, this is like ancient Lemuria, right? It's Eden could be now. In how you look at every single thing going on, you could see the exaltation of every positive and negative feeling thing, right? That's the ultimate of where the masters are with everything. You know, Jesus being crucified, he was looking at the bright side, as they said in that movie, all right, The Life of Brian. That wasn't completely off when they were singing at the end. So it is shifting the addiction to looking at danger that we have developed as a means of protection out of the habit of fear that we have gotten into and that we are in. So I will pause there. And Karen, let's go to the next question, either one that we have or some that might be coming in that are relevant to what we're talking about.
Yes, and I would just like to make a brief comment and thank both you and Dawn, Dawn and Marguerite. I think I can speak for the collective in what I'm about to say, which is that both of you are always willing to look at what's going on and what is being felt, while at the same time continuing to both shine the light and encourage us to shine the light, because that is our only path through this darkness and crisis.
That's right.
Unseen.
And, you know, it comes down to even the personal level, like even getting ready for this show, you know, all the things that were going on and not going on. And, you know, people are seeing the little glitch there. And, you know, I mean, we're all human, and the tension starts and the stress and the fear and that starts in. And that's where we have to, as much as we can, bring in our assistants to help us get back into the more loving state so that we can go through whatever's painful feeling from a higher perspective. Okay, Karen.
So true. All right. So the question is, how bad is this crisis or this feeling of crisis? You touched on that a bit, but maybe we can go a little deeper. And what's the positive side of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dawn, did you want to start with that?
Okay, so yeah, sure. The question is how bad, say again, if you would, how bad is the crisis, and what was the second part?
How bad is the crisis or the feeling of the crisis, and what's the positive side of it?
The positive side. Okay. Okay, I'm being guided to just articulate this a little bit more in the way that I frame this up in my teachings with my mentees and my clients. There are different levels at which we can look at the experience here. There's the ground level of things, or I'll use the cross of matter as an illustration. The cross of matter. So the horizontal plane is where we're standing on the ground and we're looking at everything else around us. At that level, there is a crisis at hand. We're looking at environmental degradation at an accelerated rate. We're looking at war. We're looking at trauma. We're looking at deep suffering of humans and individuals who are in their lived experience. Now we go to the vertical axis. The vertical axis is where we go up to Divine Mother, Father, God, and we root down into Earth Gaia. So as we rise up and we pop out of the matrix of that horizontal plane and we begin to remember that we are all one in the divine. We are all children, if you will, of the divine creator. And we are made in her likeness and image, which is love, creativity, and full potency. We are eternal beings having a temporary experience in form. So when we look at it from that level, we see that everyone who is having a traumatic experience right now on the earth, it's heartbreaking from the horizontal plane, and prayer is of value. There's nothing wrong with praying. There's nothing wrong with offering love to those suffering situations. And at the highest level, we know that those souls will pop out of this dream spell when they pass, and they will come back into unity with the one and learn lessons from this. So at that level, we can see that we are actually having a dream of separation that has become a nightmare. And the way to transform that is to stop feeding the nightmare, to stop focusing on the nightmare. Now, when it's right in our lane, if we have something right in our lane, it's ours to deal with. But if it is not in our lane, we can offer prayers. For example, what's happening to our sisters and brothers right now in the Middle East, and other wars that are happening on this planet, and other areas of sadness, heartbreak, repression, suppression. We can offer prayers. We can illuminate our own light to the highest possibility as an extension, because we are all one, to our sisters and brothers. But if we get caught up in focusing in the horizontal plane, wringing our hands and being down in that suffering with them, we are not actually serving. So I'm going to share one more story that I was told this story. My first spiritual teacher, I was 19 years old. It's a beautiful story from the Bible, and it's about Jesus's bringing Lazarus back from the dead. So it's an analogy, and I encourage us to really reflect on this. When Jesus went to the tomb of Lazarus and he had the stone removed, he did not step into the tomb of death with Lazarus. He stood at the gate between death and life and called Lazarus to life. It is very important for each of us to remember what our role is as bearers of light. We do not step into the death knells of suffering and hand-wringing and misery. If it's in our lane, we do what we need to do to be aligned with our vertical axis, to be aligned with our higher guidance, so that we can hold the light even in that space. This is what is so important right now. So in that, again, go back to the guide's messages before. Is it a crisis at the horizontal plane? Yes, it is. It's the crisis that precedes transformation. It's the crisis of deconstruction that's required in order for something new to come. It's the Tower card in the tarot. And at the higher level, is it a crisis? No, it is our great awakening. It is our opportunity to liberate Gaia so that she can ascend outside of the old grids of low frequency that we are deconstructing through our light.
That's right. And when we say, how bad is it? It's bad in the sense of some people are feeling the depths of hell with what's going on. But what we know is, because we're in duality, we have the heights of light that are the opportunity here for this great, what we're calling ascension, ascension, the transmuting and stepping back into our divine angelic blueprint and awareness. So if you see it as bad could possibly be, just know that by law of duality, which we are in, there is the absolute opposite thing that's available to you. That's what we want to keep remembering. and what we want to focus on. Because as we do that, we accordion down the extremity of the duality. And Magenta Pixie has talked about this from her guide. She said, in the higher dimensions, there is duality, but it moves from good to evil to love to light, love and light. That's the only duality you got to deal with. And that's like a little hop, skip, and a jump over to another stone in the river. That's where we're going. The more we lift ourselves up out of the hell through this vertical axis that Dawn is talking about and focus on the light, just as we would if we were leaving our bodies, the instruction is always go to the highest light. The more we pull together the accordion and lessen the extremity of the duality. What is not helpful is to continue the hellish warfare in all of our dialogues. So I see this going on in one listserv of, well-meaning people, and now everyone's duking it out, who really caused what, where, who's the real culprit, and all this and that. Meanwhile, everyone is feeling bad and bashed crosswise with one another. This is what's happened over the last 3 years. We had a big up close and personal with that, where we're all bashing each other because we're like, you're the perpetrator. No, you're the perpetrator. No, you're the perpetrator. No, you're the perpetrator. Right? That's exactly what these shenanigan forces want us to do, is just get looped into that, stay down in the hell realm, instead of going up into the light, which is a place that feels actually much, much better to us. So that's where we want to be going. And that is the very point of incarnation in Earth at this time. Anybody who is a breathing, living human being came because they realized, that's why you have so many people on the planet right now. All right. It's not just sex went out of control and everybody, there's 7 billion people. It's that all of these souls wanted to come in because they said, gee, if I could awaken, I could actually do something very deep for my soul at this time, which is that ascension, ascension. Okay. This is the promise. This is the opportunity right now. So again and again, we're returning to this theme of what it is that's happening, the opportunity, what we need to focus on. And then, we can also talk about who we can draw on. I mean, Dawn is talking about some of the guides. I mean, my go-tos are Jesus, Yeshua, Blessed Mother Mary, the whole Holy Family, etc. Now I've been tuning into my Andromedan connections, the Pleiadian forces of love, light, and wisdom, etc. Okay, so I'll pause there. And Karen, let's see if there are any questions coming in from others who are watching, perhaps as well.
Yes, there are a couple right now in chat, and I'd like to share a comment first from Elizabeth, who says, "What a blessing! I happened to catch this." Many exclamation points. I needed this morning. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Bless you, Elizabeth. We're so glad. This is where these AI algorithms with YouTube, whatever, are of the light. Okay?
Yes. So the first question we have here from Osho is how to deal with those in power who, Osho says, cause the wounds.
Mm-hmm. Should I just start in, Dawn?
If you want to, I have one comedic, my own little version of Gloria and Sylvia.
Hello.
I squish you. Sorry, it just came through. It's from a Saturday Night Live thing.
Okay.
I squish you. I
squish you, leader.
You're so small compared to the light of my divinity.
So small. That's right.
But
that's exactly right. You got to squish them down. The first thing that came to me, Osho, when I heard that was, you're the person in power. That's what we need to know. That is what these energies, the shenanigan makers, don't want us to know or realize. They want us to feel small. They want us to feel like power is separate and apart and has to do with these, decision makers, so-called. You're the power person. You're the decision maker. You are the center of your universe and of the universe. Okay. And this is a very deep teaching that Dawn and well, I'm certainly going to go into it in our Soul Relief and Renewal Weekend, November 3rd through 5th, coming up.
Me too. Definitely.
All righty.
It's so
Because
important.
philosophically, on the level of Einstein, literally, this is true. In an ever expanding universe, the center is everywhere at all times. So you are the center. That means you are the one in power. You are the queen spider at the center of the web. Whatever you do sends the ripples throughout the entire web. Okay, so we'll let you digest and chew on that, and I'll toss it over to Dawn here.
Yeah, I want to begin with a Course in Miracles lesson. Jesus is also one of my very significant, important guides. I commune every morning with the master teacher of non-dualism with my course practice. So this lesson is, I am the one self united with my creator. I am the one self, capital S. So that's to begin, but I want to tune in here for a moment because there's more I wanted to say about this. So it appears as if those who have all the power are, the controllers, the authorities, the rulers, if you will, appear to have all the power. And in the horizontal plane, in the material plane, indeed, they have a great deal of money, resources, control of the media, control of the military, and all of that is true. And when you remember that you are indeed the center of your universe, you are the one self united with your creator, you are the light and the love of the divine. When you shine that light, when you know that this is true, and where two or more are gathered in the name of that Christed light, those rulers, quote unquote, are powerless, and they know it. This is why they have invested so much time, energy, and money in propaganda, in programming, in trauma-based mind control, in creating scenarios that keep the frequency of humanity low, because they know they are not only outnumbered by numbers of humans, they are outnumbered in the fact that they have no access to true divine creativity, for they are very far from the light in their choices to be deeply steeped in the duality of fear. And so what to do about these quote unquote rulers is to shine your light, to unify with others, and to clarify your own mind of the obstructions of love's presence, to come into present moment awareness, for it is only in this now moment that you can indeed create the future.
Yeah. Blessed be. And also, what's come in again and again in my ceremonies is send prayers for the upliftment of these controller forces, these beings, whoever they are, however you want to conceive them. And, Dawn and Marguerite could go into living color describing what they look like, what they smell like, what they sound like. But we'll just leave it to your imagination for the moment. But they are wanting, this came to me years ago, and my friend Diana Kelly, who was basically saying, they need the prayers as much as anyone. These are the fallen angelics. Okay. And the reason why the Holy Family came into that contested part of the world that was also part of the Roman Empire was because it was like one of the nadir points of this control system on the earth. And they were like, yeah, we're parachuting in now, Roman Empire, the corruption. They knew all about rulers. They knew all about archons and what we're calling their archons, okay? They are corrupted rulers, fallen angelics. That's what we want to remember. You can reserve a little part of your prayer life to the restoration of the fallen angelics. And that could be a useful thing, because that's the level of the forgiveness and the constructiveness of what we're doing. That's an essential part of our ascension. It's not like, oh, we're going to wrap this all up and have everything be okay for humanity and our loved ones. But it's like galactic, it's like these beings into the other dimensions. And to some degree, that thing being prayed for, that they're going to go to the light, is more terrifying for them than anything. That more so than that their food source on planet Earth is going to go away, because they can just find another Eden and corrupt it and take it down and so forth. They're not going to take us down, but they're roaming, and it's like they need help, so that we can accordion this universe into love, light from good and evil. We are all dealing with this fallen angel thing that created the good and evil split. And that's what we are. We have to dig into our maturity, even as we're trying to make a living and dealing with our neighbors who are arguing with us about the fence or whatever. Blessed be. We'll pause. Anything else there, Dawn, or should we go to questions that are coming in from Karen? Or
let's go to more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So inspiring and moving and encouraging. The next question is, what does humanity most need to know at this time?
Marguerite, you want to take that first?
Yeah, I'll start this. And I want to also just tune in, thank again Connie Viveros of Angels Emerging, who is a certified Dove Oracle priestess, who's in the background here holding sacred space. Really appreciate you, Connie, and thank you for being here in such a dedicated way. Connie is really the epitome of giving, and I so appreciate you as a priestess part of this community. Okay, so what do we need to do or know, Karen?
What do we most need to know?
To know. Okay. Returning to what Dawn said earlier, that, we are deeply in the lived experience of illusion. We are deeply in the dream right now. It hurts physically, it hurts emotionally, it brings joy. There's nothing like it, I mean, there are the heights and the depths of intensity of feeling that being in 3D allows, which is even why sometimes these beings come into us and, they like the whole sexual experience and so forth, because they're like, there's nothing like it on the astral plane. Let's just go into the human experience and have sex for a little bit because it's interesting. So we are deeply in this illusion. But again, as Dawn was saying, when we cross out of our bodies, we're going to get the debrief, the big old debrief, and see what was what, and decide what we want next, and, all that kind of thing. And so the more we can remember that this is a chosen, living dream illusion that actually we can wake up into and kind of change at any time, which is why lucid dreaming practice for our nighttime dreaming and sleeping is so interesting, because it gives you that practice of waking up in the seemingly unwakeable places. If we can wake up to this illusion, then we can change the dream. Okay, Dawn?
Thank you. Yeah, I feel my guides right here, they want to say this. You are creator beings. The most important thing for you to know is that you are made in the likeness and image of your Creator, which is to say, unconditionally loving, incredibly, potently creative, and eternally free. For your best life, we could say, for your capacity to walk through this experience of living on earth at the time of a great transformation, the end of a spiritual season, you would do well to bring your consciousness to the present moment and to allow yourself the inspiration to create with your mind, for your mind is powerful. Your mind is that connection. Your higher mind is the connection with your Creator. And when you come into present moment, neither looking to the past, nor fretting over the future, or projecting too far into the future, but literally being in the present moment, being in the stillness and the silence, to allow the grace of God to flow over and through you. You will be graced with the gifts of inspiration, of creativity. You will awaken and open those doorways within you which allow you to express your creative potency in ways that may surprise you. And so, from our perspective in the non-physical, we would say that the most important thing for humanity to know and understand right now is that when you come into present moment connection with your divine love light source, you open the door for the guidance to guide you. Now, when you are in fear frequency, when you are holding resentments, when you are in spaces of unforgiveness, when you are, as this conduit says, taking the past problems and flinging them onto your future timeline, you are in miscreation. So we would encourage you to put all aside, past and future, and come fully into the present with your breath, with your intention, and allow yourself to open, to receive guidance, and to discern if it feels inspiring, creative, exciting, curious, then you know you're on track. If it feels contractive, fearful, worrisome, upsetting, distressful, then you know that you are in the discord of being in the small mind. And so, again, we reiterate the most important thing for humanity, we would say from our perspective, come into the now moment, come into the heart of your loving ways, your loving nature, your true nature. And from there, you will receive the guidance through inspiration, excitement, and follow that. That is the way to co-create what you would call the new earth.
Blessed be. Blessed be.
Oh, beautiful. And much of what you were just saying, Dawn, addresses a question that came in a bit ago from Magella. He asked, what is the best way to immediately bring yourself back into your personal power in a difficult moment? And I feel like the guidance that you just shared with us is really to that point. So thank you.
That's right. And we would add, by any means necessary, could be quaaludes, whatever you need to calm down. But no, the point well taken, in that there are various types of processes, tools, and medicines available to help us. Cacao is one of them. A big heart opener, a big mind opener. You know, I've been teaching a lot in the way of ceremonies and working personal ceremonies so that you can come back to that place again and again and again and entrain yourself to quickly come into medicine vibration, right? Even without the medicine. I've had in my Sacred Feminine Plant Medicine Academy numerous people who never even did the medicine at hand in a ceremony, and all of a sudden they're in this high state, channeling away. It was incredible. So there are those medicines, there are those plant medicines, and then just the sheer meditative process, right? The sheer breath, calming down. And Dawn and I talked about this in our 5 things you need to know to escape the, pressures right now, whatever our show was. We did a YouTube last week, and it was just breath, stillness, relaxation, calm, peace, and that leads to love and that open state. So you can regulate. It's the regulating of the body. And Karen, maybe you had this in mind, but Dawn, I think now would be a great time to talk about how our Soul Relief and Renewal Weekend will assist with that, because it's going to be a big ripple in people's pond for this transmutation. Okay, Karen, does that make sense to go into that right now?
Yes, it does. Perfect. And I'll drop a link in the chat as well.
Yeah, Dawn, let's have you start with what it is you're doing. We're just going to spend a few minutes, and then we're going to go back to the bigger questions that you all have and so forth. But this is really critical.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to say. This is a perfect segue, because it's one thing to say, right, okay, we're going to calm down. We're going to be in present moment. But then when the monkey mind is the monkey mind, it begs the question, how? So this is what I feel so strongly to share, and why Marguerite and I, in our collective energy together in ceremony, we're able to pull in this guidance and this download of what we're here to offer, and then go through our own personal initiations to be able to be the container for it. It is time for all of us to have an upgrade energetically. We have all been born into a 3D control matrix that has locked in consciousness into the frequency of fear and separation. Now, we can talk about the higher reasons for that. That doesn't matter right now. What matters is we are in an ascension cycle, and the ascension energies, those photonic light, is increasing its acceleration, which means it's kind of like being on a treadmill. You're on a treadmill, you're walking, and you're like keeping pace with it. And all of a sudden someone presses a button, and all of a sudden it's going really fast. We have to increase our frequency, which means a clearing away of the old pattern of walking at the certain pace in that 3D where everyone's separate and fear is your basic foundational programming. There's a clearing that has to happen. There's a sealing up of our energetic body's holes in order to refill with the higher frequencies. And that was the exact guidance that we received in order to deliver, to literally support light workers, star seeds, priestesses, those who have come to be the light leaders. Because some of us are starting to fall off that treadmill right now. We're doing our best. But because of the conditioning, and because we haven't yet had the upgrades, we fall boom on our chin like this on the treadmill. So that's what this is about. It's time for us. No more falling. We can sprint this. We literally can. But we need to have the upgrades to do it. And so Marguerite and I have been through some trials by fire in order to prepare for that. But we are ready, and we are here to serve in that capacity.
Yeah, that's right. And, what we're going to be doing that November 3rd through 5th weekend is really based in our collective connectivity with Jesus, Yeshua, Blessed Mother Mary, Magdalene, the Holy Family, because they are such an amazing collective for this ascension process. They're not the only ones. They're not, like we're taking this in a very mystical, esoteric way, drawing on them as resources. And also what has lately been coming in for me is drawing on whatever this Andromedan connection is that I seem to have. Okay. What does that mean? And what am I pulling through? Between now and next Friday, when we start this, I'm going to be doing one or more ceremonies connecting with these Andromedans. They've already given me a few new tools and types of meditations and processes, as well as that has been transmitted to Dawn that inspired her for in her own, knowings and practices for a next level of upgrade for everybody. And I won't claim that this will be a one and done kind of workshop because, it it may take some repeated applications, but it's going to be a pretty big upgrade change for everybody. Each time that you do some kind of process like this, it sticks in you and with you. It sticks in your DNA, okay? And it's there, it's available for you. So this is a big one. All right. And at some point today, I'd like to start looking into my Andromedan connection, if permissible. But that's what I'll say right now.
I would like to add also that I work with the Dragon Collective, the Earth Guardians. And those of you who know me, and I'm sure many of you on this call are part of my priestess community, you know how earthy I am. I'm a priestess of earth. I live in the forest. When I'm not in the forest, I'm by a mountain in Thailand, or I'm by the sea. And so I am getting downloads through that and through my dance and embodiment. And that is part of what I bring to this. So you can expect to walk away with upgraded codes of light and actual tools to apply. Now, it's one thing to apply tools when you're in the old consciousness, in a previous level, let's say, because none of you here who are going to listen to this are deeply steeped in the old 3D. But we have levels, right? So as we raise our frequency and as we upgrade and tune ourselves up and refill ourselves, it is easier to apply the tools, apply the new higher levels of energetic tools, of embodiment tools. So that's what this really is about. We're going to the next level. Let us go together. Let us be these light leaders, because our sisters and brothers of Earth need our light.
That's right. This isn't just for ourselves, which is, significant enough, but you're being called upon in one way or another to be a presence of increasing vibration, whether it's in your family, in your community, in your workplace, or in some kind of larger capacity. And as these things intensify, these revelations and whatever it is, you're going to be increasingly needed. So we have to bolster ourselves at a new level at this time. And that's what this weekend, the Soul Relief and Renewal, is all about. Okay. All right.
Thank you. So if you'd like to learn more about the November 3 through 5 coming up weekend, I dropped the link. You can click on there and read all about it.
That's right. And it's going to be available in replay. So anybody watching after this in 2023 and beyond, on into decades in the future, it's going to be available indefinitely in replay. So you can always access it. All right, Karen.
Good. So we have a question that came on early in this event, and it's about the future. What can we expect for the year? Oh, this is from Harshita. What can we expect for the year 2027, heralded as the next big shift year, as 2012 had been personally and collectively on Earth? In terms of the deep shift happening now, will this get better?
Right. All right, Dawn.
Okay, let me, teacher.
Go to it.
I want to talk about the astrology first.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the shifting of the age into the age of Aquarius. So thank you for this question, Harshita, and glad to have you here with us. Okay. So many of us know we are shifting into the age of Aquarius. What exactly does that mean? We shift ages about every 2,000 years. Now, as an astrologer, as an evolutionary astrologer, I really look to the planet Pluto and the nodes of the moon to, at a personal level, when I'm doing personal astrology, to help guide people as to their soul's evolutionary journey and what their soul came here to be and do. But as a collective level, we look also to Pluto's shifts to give us some sense of what is the energetic going to be. So the last almost 20 years, no, not 20 years, the last 15-ish years, I'd have to look, since 2008. Since 2008, Pluto has been in Capricorn. Capricorn's energy is top-down control. Sound familiar? It's about structure. It's about systems. It's about maintaining control. It's about power over and domination. It's about big pharma, big government, big, military, big ag, all of that stuff. Now, Pluto is about to move. It's dipped its toe into Aquarius, and now it's going to move in the end of January 2024. So pretty soon, moving into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is about power to the people. It's literally about dropping. So if we have the hierarchy like this, right, the power goes down to the people. Now, so that's we're already seeing now when an age shifts, it takes about 300 years. So it's not a one and done. It's not like, boom, we all wake up and, harmony and understanding, beauty and love divine. It takes a while, but the consciousness is shifting, and we see this. We also see the way those who have been at the top of that pyramid, they are applying strategic psyops to hijack the natural inclination of humanity to wake up and say, hey, we want justice. We want peace for everyone. We want fairness. We want that. And hijacking it into more polarity, more right and wrong, more, equity that is actually putting, some people down, but it's just like flipping the argument. So there's manipulation happening, but the actual true energetic is going to power to the people, not as collectivism, communism, which says you must sacrifice your individual rights for the collective. That experiment has been tried and tried again. And I spend time in former communist countries in Southeast Asia. They don't like it. They didn't want it. It didn't work. Experiment that did not work. But there is another way. It requires a higher level of consciousness of humanity to be able to simultaneously create structures and systems that serve the collective and yet honor the individual. And that's where we are going. So 2027. The North Node moves into Aquarius. The North Node represents our collective future. And let me see here, because I wrote it down. November 16th, 2027, 4 degrees of Aquarius. Pluto, North Node conjunct. To me, this is a major signature of illumination in consciousness, of humanity saying, to use my East Coast Italian side, we've had it up to here. We have had enough. We are here to be the love and the light and to stop being played by systems of control. So just from my own self, not even from bringing the guides in, from the astrological perspective, 2027 heralds a time where the balance is truly shifted, and we see in the collective that those controllers, the parasites, the powers that were literally they're spent. They don't. We can look, they're still trying that, but there's not going to be the level of okay, we obey. There's not, the collective won't. The consciousness and the frequency of the planet will no longer hold those trauma-based mind controls, those manipulations into war and fear and trauma anymore.
That's right. And what I would say is, and we put out the prayer for this or better, for the greatest good of all, in co-creation. So we get into our co-creation minds right now. And rather than saying, what are we going to be at the behest of? Is it, this planet, that planet? It's like, okay, how do we work in harmony, the best harmony with energies that are afoot to co-create what we want? And that's the unification of the wheels of the universe turning and our intrinsic creative will. So let's just think about that. The person who asked that question, we're giving you a homework assignment. All right, sit down for 5 minutes every day for a month and visualize what you would like to see for 2027, and then put it out there, this or better for the greatest good of all. Okay, that's you becoming the power that be. All right. It's not being at the passive victimization of things. It's creating what we want. All right, Karen.
Yes, we have a question that I'm going to share in just a minute. But before I do, there's a lot of appreciation coming in the chat, and we thank you for that. And we also wanted to just briefly mention that we very much welcome super chat and super sticker donations. And at the bottom of your chat, you'll see a little currency symbol. And so if you feel drawn, if you feel inclined, if you feel supported in your own world of finances to do so, please go ahead and click that and offer a donation. Thank you. The question comes from Luna Rio, and it is, could you define control versus surrender?
Do you want to, or you want me to go first?
I'll give it a whirl.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to be in the moment, tuning in like to the ticket tape as it's coming out. All right. Because there's no planning for this one. Control versus surrender. What does it look like? What does it feel like? This is where the metaphor of dance comes in, that Dawn is so good at, in that we are going to be exploring a little bit in movement formation for our soul relief and renewal, because it's not so much one thing or another as it's this fluid yin yang relationship between control and surrender, which is what renders both of them, it like softens both of them. It's like the whole yin yang. There's control in surrender, and there's surrender in control. That's what you're aiming for. So I would invite you to feel control and surrender in your body. Go get a piece of music and do a dance to control and surrender, and feel what that means in your body. And you will know, you will have more illumination on the answer to that question. And I will pause there.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Marguerite. Yeah, I feel the same. This is not something I've ever fully reflected on before. So I'm going to just drop in and feel into what message wants to come through about this. So what comes through is this knowing that in order to be a conduit for higher guidance, there is a requirement of a surrender. There is a surrender in the consciousness to say, I shall step aside to be the microphone for a higher guidance. Control. When we control the wheel of a car because we are driving, that is a very different kind of control than the control of trying to micromanage things out of a frequency of fear. So we ask that you look to the frequency beneath, whether it is an energetic of control or surrender. There is the notion of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So there is a way in which the freeze and fawn could be a kind of surrender based in fear, rather than based in the surrender of a flower that opens to receive the light of the divine, the light of God, the light of the sun. And so we would say that the important aspect of the question here is to tune into what is beneath. What is beneath the control? Are you driving a car so you don't drive it off the road? Good to have control. What is beneath that control? Is it, I must micromanage because I'm afraid I won't survive? I must control every aspect of my life because I feel I'll have a meltdown? This is a control that needs the grace of surrender, the grace of feeling safe enough to surrender. The same too with surrender energies. Am I in surrender because I'm too afraid to stand up for what is my truth? And so I will allow someone else's truth to guide my light? Or am I in surrender to the process, the experience, because I know that I am safely held in this moment. And that is exactly what's called for. So this requires a level of discernment. It requires a level of deep self-awareness, and it requires a level of liberation from subconscious programming and fears and conditioning and perhaps trauma in the subconscious beneath the surface of awareness, such that you are in control in the way that is necessary to be in alignment with a life on path, and you are in surrender, in alignment with your life, on your life's unfoldment.
Blessed be. And, Karen, you're going to take that into the meeting with Marguerite about events that happened this week with the school. I write because it applies. Like I can get into that fear state, and then all of a sudden I'm like acting in an impulsive last minute way that creates difficulties for people around me. You know what I mean? So it's like, ooh, let's move out of that one, and what I want to add to this is the notion, the concept, and the divinity of sovereignty. Because so many of us have been victims of surrender, right? So the word surrender is like, what the hell? I've been abducted. I've been hijacked. I've been crossbred, force-bred, all of these things that we feel or hear have happened to humanity at the behest of deities or beings who claim they're deities, and then all of a sudden we're having to follow them, whether their directive is right or wrong, and it's creating problems, and we're calling it a religion. We are necessarily suspicious of surrender. We've done too much of it, and a lot of times women especially have surrendered, but not exclusively. That's where the control comes in, because as a protection to being taken advantage of from our good heart that is willing to surrender to the divine or things that say that they're divine. Oh yeah, come over here and do this, and we're your gods, and you've got to do what we're saying, and blah, blah, blah. And we're all awakening to this new level of, wait a minute. I don't think I'm in agreement with what is in those sacred texts. And wow, that's a big rebellion. And so we are all coming to terms with that, like rebelling toward these surrenders that we've been forced to or manipulated into doing in our bodies, minds, spirits in this and other lifetimes. So as Dawn is saying, the discernment, we want to bring in the discernment of when is surrender actually appropriate? And then instead of going to control when it isn't, going to empowerment. How does empowerment really look in this moment? Do I really want to go through that death rebirth experience in my ayahuasca ceremony? Is that indeed for my greatest good? Who's governing that situation? What are these voices coming to me in sacred plant medicines or in the middle of the night or in my channelings? This is a very important level of maturity that we all need to get to and become aware of so that we can achieve that total angelic sovereignty where we have healthy boundaries around ourselves on every level as humans and divine angelics. I will pause there.
Yeah, thank you for bringing in the sovereignty aspect. That is so key. I mean, really, that's the ground upon which we are doing all the work that we do. I would say certainly for our upcoming Soul Relief and Renewal weekend, but really your work and mine, Marguerite. This is and humanity's awakening. This is about reclaiming our sovereignty as divine creator beings. I am the one self united with my creator. I am that. Now, that doesn't mean that's not the ego. That's the ego. It's not about the personality. This is about the higher self. And when we come into that sovereignty, we look at the nonsense, the shenanigans, the people who think they're in control. We say, get behind me, Satan. Yeah, no, I am here to remember the truth of my sovereignty. I don't have to abnegate my sovereign authority to any joker who pretends to be a god.
That's right.
That's the lesson we have learned. It is time to grow up and move beyond that.
That's right. That's right. This is a big, huge initiation for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also directly related to what's going on in certain parts of the world, where those programs have come in big time. And it's the same program making two sides of one face duke it out with each other. Those who have ears to hear, hear. Okay? We've got to collectively mature up around what we are even considering our religions. What gods are we serving? Why are these so-called gods allowing us to shoot each other up? Who are these gods? Huge initiation for humanity right now. And we're all caught up into it because we've got the three so-called Abrahamics going on, among other things. Okay? Got to take a look. And I think the women have a big role here in going, wait a second, first of all, the feminine is completely missing from that picture. And we need to bring our forces of soothing, nurturing, peace, and so forth, and the womb, the sacred womb, back into this equation. That's where we're going. All right, I'm going to pause there.
Well, I kind of feel like taking an hour pause just to let that digest and integrate, but let's keep moving. So there's a question, what do we need to do or not do? And before I turn it over to you, I'd just like to say, I feel like strengthening our level of discernment is paramount. Our level of discernment in listening to our guides and in knowing these pieces about control and surrender and sovereignty, it lands on us. How do we discern what we're hearing and then how to move? So again, the question is, what do we need to do or not do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can I start, Dawn? I'm getting
Sure.
stuff
Go
right
for it.
now. We want to attune to, with anything, is this of the love, light, and wisdom? Is what I am hearing from this other source of the love, light, and wisdom? And am I attuned to the love, light, and wisdom so that I can match this up or see where those messages are not measuring up and release them, from my reality? So again, I'm talking at the deepest levels of energetic attunement. This is going beyond conscious talk mind. Okay, so for people to just really tune into the energetics of this, we're moving into the vibrations of the true love, light, and wisdom, and doing all that we can to clear ourselves so that we can get with that and move from it and of it. That is one very helpful thing that we're doing. And releasing traumas, releasing old energy imprints, releasing grievances in a way that feels authentic and powerful is all a part of that. And that is what Dawn and I are partly going to be doing for that Soul Relief and Renewal weekend. But I will pause there. Dawn?
Yeah, I have a little comic interjection here, and then I will share my piece. So the first thing you do, step A, you take your TV. Step B, you put it on the back of a pickup truck. Step C, you drive to a dump. Step D, you step behind the TV. And step E, you foot jab it off the back into the dump. Okay, I literally did that many years ago. It was a very satisfying experience. So that's my little warrior side coming out. Yeah, what do? We choose consciously to withdraw our energy and our life force energy from the collapsing 3D matrix. We withdraw our energy from the wars, the propaganda, the battles, the politics, the BS. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't pray for the people who are really suffering, but we don't get caught in the battlefield of right and wrong and standing with one side or the other. We stand with the light of our divinity. That is the bottom line. That is the top line. That is the vertical axis. That is what we do. And then what's in our lane? What's in front of us? We bring love to that. We have a child in school. We're dealing with problems there. That's what we address. We have an elder family member. We have to navigate medical system. That's what we do. And we do it with the highest frequency of love. Whatever that is in our lane, if it is not in our lane, we have no business feeding that by being in polarity about it or, again, wringing our hands about it. We come into the vertical axis in the alignment with love.
That's right. And easier said than done because it's a continual practice.
Yes.
That's why we have things like the weekend that we're doing, the soul relief and renewal. That's why we are all in our own, working with our own advisors in this plane and others. It's why Dawn and I are in service as one-on-one mentors and so forth and so on, right? Mm-hmm. To assist in a chain link fashion with this great healing. And sometimes one day one of us is down and the other one's up. Dawn and I have been
we've been passing the baton.
It's
literally
like trumpet things. One day, her thing is down and mine's up, and then the other way, and we're helping each other through these periods. So it's helping each other lift up.
Yeah. And again, the upgrade, I think that's the other thing, so what do? We step into opportunities that allow us to upgrade our body, mind, and spirit, upgrade our body, mind vehicles, and upgrade our spirit through these kind of energy healing and upgrading, transformative, recalibrating containers like what Marguerite and I are offering.
That's right. And I wanted to share that a client of mine this week was really, I've been working with her for several years, and she really was verbalizing that she's in a new place through the work we've done, through much of her inner work and so forth. And I just really reflected that back. And then she said, because she's a therapist, she said, 3 of my clients are in a better space too, because of all this work. So it does work, all this stuff that you're doing, all this stuff that we're doing, it does take us to new levels. Even if sometimes we have a blip, okay, there's a new normal that we create for ourselves. That's where we're going, into the new normal. So weekends like soul relief and renewal and many of these other tools and processes that you're doing, that you may be teaching others in, are essential and critical right now.
Yeah, I'm also seeing profound breakthroughs with my Mother Spirit priestesses. And early on, I lead women through a 13 moon cycle, and we're only in moon 5 right now. And I'm blown away at the acceleration. So there's an acceleration of light, which means if we ride these waves, if we stay with it, if we work on ourselves, we get acceleration of upgrades. So for those sisters and brothers who are here, who've been slogging away on the spiritual path for decades, as we have, it's not as slow as it used to be anymore. No. We can upkick a lot quicker when we have the heart of devotion to do our inner work and to be available for the frequency upgrades, for the recalibrations.
Blessed be. Blessed be. So we're going to go another 15 minutes or so. Karen, are there questions or comments coming in from chat?
We've covered most of them. I wanted to mention that I was tuned into Priestess of Truth, who was also asking about that level of discernment when I asked that question. So thank you for your chat there.
And we are inviting, I see that people are on, they're looking. We are inviting your questions.
Yes.
About answers to a humanity in crisis, anything we've been discussing. We invite your comments. Please write in. We will aim to address these in the next 15 minutes. So let this be interactive. What's in your deep heart and mind, whose answers will benefit everyone watching? Okay.
That is true for sure. And so I just wanted to remind everybody about this weekend that's coming up, November 3rd through 5th, the Soul Relief and Renewal Weekend. You'll find the link in the chat there if you want to learn more about it and possibly register. And also, I would like to take a minute to, again, thank Connie Viveros for being our sacred space holder today and holding this space for us. It's truly felt. I think that what's on a lot of people's minds about their businesses and their personal lives is how can humanity best address issues regarding a feeling of lack and crisis regarding having enough money and making a living.
Yeah. I'd like to start with a little bit of astrology around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow, as we are recording this, we are on the 27th. Tomorrow we have the eclipse, so the second in this set of eclipses. And I'm just going to grab my little notes here, look at them here. This is a lunar eclipse, and it is in, so what this means is that the sun and the moon, it's a full moon, right? So in this case, the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus, and the earth is between. This Scorpio Taurus axis is the resources axis. It's the axis related to money, values, what we value, our own inner resources, Taurus, or other people's resources, Scorpio. And we know that one of the ways that I need a new word besides parasites, controllers, or wannabe controllers, like the
Archons.
the archons. Yeah, and they're human puppets who are benefiting and, living off caviar and private jets while they're telling us that we're poisoning the earth and so we have to eat bugs. Those people, they manipulate the narratives and they manipulate and siphon the money. So this eclipse, so we're moving through, eclipses are like portals, right? You got your first one and your second one, and we're in the middle of them right now. And this one energetically has a lot of signature around money, resources, and the scarcity programming that we were all born into. And this is the initiation we are being asked. Do I trust the dollar bill or whatever your currency is where you live? Or do I trust in the higher source? So I have lived my life I was a single mother when I was 18 years old. I mean, I've known poverty. I've known struggle. And what I have discovered is that when this is the surrender, and I say, Divine Mother, Father God, guide me. What am I here to be and do? When this feels strong for me to invest in it, what I find is that the resources are there to support me. We have to let go of the programming of fear, and that is an act of courage. I don't know how else to say it. But we know that there's a programming and an eclipse portal right now that's intensifying this. So our initiation is to go, right, yeah, I see you, Mara, to use a Buddhist term, or get behind me, Satan. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm an eternal divine being having an experience in form. My bank account doesn't determine my abundance. My alignment with the abundance of my divinity does.
Yeah. And I want to really look deeply into this in a way that I even haven't before. So let me, I love that, Dawn. And let me just go in, because this is really a major nut to crack. And this is how these forces have us coming and going, running and croaking. All right. If we didn't have this, if we weren't afraid of where our food and survival would go, there would be no game in a way. But this main financial one, that we are all plugged in and now we're all connected one to the other. It's like, holy gosh. So let me look deeply here. I'm asking Mother Cacao and the forces, and even money itself, the pure essence of money, to provide guidance for us as a planet and as a collective of spirit workers on this matter. So just give me a moment. What's first coming is that what Dawn said is it is important to have courage in this regard. And when you look at the French word courage, you know, Marguerite, she loves saying French words, all right? It means of the heart, really, essentially. Cœur is heart. So what does that mean? It comes to love again. Whenever we can get in our lovingness, our loving kindness, which again is where cacao helps so much to just chill us, and whew, you can operate so much better from the creative space with how you are going to attract what you need, even within this system. Okay. So that's one major thing, is the courage, the heartedness, the lovingness coming from that place regarding your money, regarding what you need. Also coming in here are the fairies. We have not given them a lot of attention up until now in this, but the fairies, the fae, the Sidhe, the elemental beings of the golden earth of Lemuria and Eden, the leprechauns. They are the ones continually who come in to show me they are all about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is a new earth economic symbol and image for us to contemplate, use, put stickers on, plaster everywhere, and communicate with and around. You know, the leprechaun beings are so much here to assist us with this golden age. We are wanting to return to the age of gold, which is where the money, so-called, was flowing easily. It wasn't even money in the sense of like a piece of coin, you know, it was the flow. All right. So let me just go even a step deeper. What I'm receiving now is from the crystal and the metal kingdom for us to put our attention on these great beings who are the gems. We intrinsically know that crystals, gems, and minerals and metals are the money of the earth. This is why gold has been trafficked, stolen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to start putting our communication with these crystals, with these gems, with these metals as beings, as elemental beings. Be in communication with them in your meditations and ask them to assist you. Okay, so I'm giving you the tools here, right? This is good for me to know and remember as well. Go into a meditation with gold. Go into a meditation with diamonds. And see what comes through for you about this regarding the very real practicality of your bank account and the flow of commerce into and out of your life. There will be specific messages that will come in for you that are beyond generalities that we can offer here. These are part of your personal toolings. Okay, leprechauns, gems, crystals, metals, and so forth. And holding them in your hand while you do this. So most of us, as poor as we are, have some level of gold, have some level of diamonds, most of us. Okay, and if not, get a quartz crystal. Meditate with it. in your hands and see what comes through. Let me just see if there's anything else that wants to come in here. I feel like there's a dissertation in a whole other course that wants to come through about this, that wants to be birthed through my heart, my womb. But hopefully these points of suggestion and guidance have been helpful to all of us asking this question and grappling in very real ways. So trust, courage, working with gold, working with gems, working with crystals, working with the fairies, working with the leprechauns, playing with them mainly. And always remembering that your main currency of wealth is your breath and the now moment, as Dawn was saying earlier on. Okay, I will pause there. We have just a few minutes left. Anything else on that? Or maybe there's another question or comment. Dawn, anything else on that?
No, that was brilliant. Thank you. That was really helpful for me as well. Just, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
A question has come in a couple of times. If either of you have a special song that you could suggest that people could play at home to uplift and bring us all together.
Oh, I have many. I have curated many. I curate whole retreats and have curated a lot of music for our upcoming retreat. So let me just tune in. Marguerite, if you have anything coming to mind.
We have one. Kumbaya. All right. It is a good basic song. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody knows it. And so don't knock it. That's what we would say about that one.
I'm going to pull up my outline for this weekend just to share with you. Now, everyone's got different taste. So I will share with you a couple of songs. So I think the one that I want to share most is by Alexa Sunshine Rose, and it's called I Release Control. And the line is, I release control and surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. Now that's a very slow and soft, it's not an upbeat. So if you're wanting something to rock out to, I don't know that I have that yet. Well, one of my favorites is by Deadova, Return of the Bird Tribes, where we remember, see my soul of different colors, see my feathers worn from living. We are the returning of the bird tribe. So, and then there's Rising Appalachia, Medicine. I would also recommend that. So those are some of my current favorites, but I have many, and I have many more wonderful ones to share with you all, those of you who join us next weekend.
Yes.
So we weren't able to get to all of the questions. Several came in at the end there, and we thank you for all of them, and I will pass them all on to Marguerite and Dawn. We had questions about loneliness and guilt, mother guilt, and the physical body, just so many things. It would be, if we could go another hour, we could address all of them. But thank you all for your participation, your comments, and your questions. Thank you, Marguerite and Dawn. And
yes. Thank you, Connie. And so with that, we will say goodbye for now. Please go to the Seven Sisters Mystery School website to find out more about us. Please go to Dawn, the URL for the Soul Relief and Renewal Weekend that is in the show notes here, as well as various times in the chat. Dawn, your website is also dawndelvecchio.com, and you can check out the offerings that Dawn and I continually have. If you're feeling like you want one-on-one support, either and both of us are available for that as well. So with that, we will say goodbye for now. Many blessings, and may you have courage and love within your hearts as we move through into this new era. Bye for now, everybody.
Thank you.